Hi, it's Christy, and I'm back to do a little follow-up video about the video I did last night. So I will try to put a note with a link to that video, but the crux of it was I was watching USA Gymnastics US Championships, and the USA Gymnastics president, Carrie Perry, did an interview where she said that USA Gymnastics for the past 8 months, since she was put in place, they started an athlete task force, and since then, for the last 8 months, they've been listening to athletes and deciding on next steps and the direction. That's great. 8 months, that's bullshit. And the other thing that she said was that they were communicating with the public and with the athletes. Now, earlier in the day, Simone Biles said they weren't communicating. And when I think about it, I haven't heard them communicate anything other than this athlete task force. And I was thinking about this on my walk today, and one of the things that came to mind was 1961, President Kennedy went before Congress after talking to all his people and getting a challenging but realistic goal, or setting a challenging but realistic goal, to have a man on the moon and back by the end of the decade. And this was challenging. He had to put extra resources on this. He had to make sure it was funded. This was not something that was going to happen if he didn't go out and say this was going to happen. And in 1969, we did it. And so when I think back to USA Gymnastics saying, we're trying to figure out next steps. You've had 8 months. If you couldn't figure out next steps, I don't know when you're going to do it. Are you waiting for an epiphany? Because it's not going to come. You need to, first of all, take small steps. When you identify a problem, find a quick and easy solution. Most solutions, actually I shouldn't say that. There's a lot of things that can be done very easily that will help, and that are stopgaps until you have a larger plan. So I've listened to a bunch of interviews with some of these girls. I've read a bunch of stuff. And what are two problems? One is the girls were afraid to complain. And two, some of these girls didn't even know they were being abused. Not for nothing. Those aren't the hardest problems to solve in a short time frame. And even if you're like, oh, this is a problem. Well, how are we going to solve it? You know what? I'm going to set up a group of people to work on problem A, and you got 2 months to set something up. And then you go to the public and you say, we realized that the girls were afraid to make complaints. We're going to set up an online forum or something. It's going to take us 2 months because we want to make sure that we do it right, but we are actively working on this. Great. You've taken an action because you've identified a problem, you found a solution, and now you've gone out and communicated to people the problem and the solution and gave a timeline for it. Instead, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. But when I look back at, Kennedy in 1961, he knew exactly what he was doing. He knew exactly what he was doing, both from a strategy perspective of protecting the reputation of the country, and also in physically getting that to happen, getting, the man on the moon. So the point in all of this, probably rambling, is that it's not just about taking action, it's about the small actions that you take along the way to create a bigger picture, a bigger you, a bigger, whatever that master plan is. There's a lot of small steps along the way. You need to take them. And two is setting a goal and being public about it. Look, you don't have to be public about every goal you do, but you should probably tell a couple people about it. You want people to hold you accountable. If Kennedy said to himself, we're going to be on the moon by the end of the decade, and didn't tell anybody else, is anybody going to follow and help and support in that mission? No, because they don't even know it's the mission. So those are the two things. It's one, it's taking action, taking the small steps along the way, and two, setting a goal and being public in a way that's good for you. Whether public is going before Congress or telling a couple of your friends or whatever, writing it down on a piece of paper so that your family walks by and sees it every day on the refrigerator. But in order to change things, you have to take action. And if you're not, it doesn't change. So that is all, I think, for today. Who knows, tomorrow I might get fired up about this again, or some other topic. And just the other thing I will say is I picked on USA Gymnastics for 2 videos, but there are a lot of other people who did not take their role as in supervising our youth seriously enough. So I just want to say I recognize that it's not just USA Gymnastics, but they are one that really needs to step it up.